Sir, I can open this safe. Just give me one shot.
How did this kid get in here? The entire Museum of History froze. The lead security consultant, flown in specifically from Silicon Valley, actually laughed out loud. This vault didn't budge for the most advanced algorithms in the world. And it didn't open for me, a master technician. And you think you can crack it? Get lost, kid. He paused, a smirk playing on his lips. Tell you what, if you open this right now, I'll write you a check for $100,000. Laughter echoed through the grand hall. Camera flashes popped like strobe lights, and standing right in the middle of it all, in a faded hoodie and worn-out sneakers, was a skinny, unassuming boy. This wasn't just any safe, it was the Iron Titan. Excavated 5 years ago from the foundation of a demolished Prohibition-era mansion in Chicago, rumor had it that it contained the lost fortune of a notorious industrialist. But the problem was, the thing was impenetrable. Modern tech had failed completely. Lasers, thermal drills, sonic imaging, all useless. Finally, the museum board hired Titanium Security Solutions, the biggest firm in the States. Their top guy came down, but even he couldn't make a dent. But what that janitor's son did next left the billionaires, the experts, and the media absolutely speechless. Stay with me until the end to see exactly what happened. Today, the museum was at capacity. Historians, city officials, major news networks like CNN and Fox, everyone was there. Standing in the shadows was Leo, the son of the night custodian. His dad, Mike, cleaned the floors after hours. Leo often tagged along, sitting quietly in the corners, staring at the exhibits while his dad buffed the marble. Today was the same. When the exhausted technician threw his hands up and announced that the mechanism was fused and would never open, that's when the voice cut through the room. "Sir, I can open it." The crowd turned. The security guards started moving in to escort him out. "It's just the cleaner's kid," someone muttered. But there was no fear in Leo's eyes, only absolute certainty. The hall, which was buzzing with chatter just seconds ago, fell dead silent. All eyes were on this 13-year-old boy. Messy hair, grease on his jeans, looking like he hadn't slept much. But his gaze was steady. The tech expert, a man in a $5,000 suit who had just confidently declared the task impossible, looked annoyed. He flipped his security badge in his hand. "Listen, son, I have a PhD in structural engineering. I've cracked bank vaults in Zurich. If I can't do it, nobody can. Who let you pass the velvet ropes?" A ripple of amusement went through the crowd. Journalists turned their cameras toward the boy, sensing a viral moment. "Where is security?" a donor whispered. The guards grabbed Leo's shoulder, but Leo didn't flinch. He spoke louder this time. "Sir, if you let me try, I can unlock it. If I fail, ban me for life. Call the cops, but let me try once." A museum director sighed, frustrated. "This isn't a playground, son. This is a national artifact. We've had the best minds on this for 5 years. The tech expert, seemingly enjoying the audience, stepped forward. He patted Leo on the shoulder, a little too hard. "All right, hero, let's make it interesting. You open this, and I give you $100,000. Not crypto, not stock, but a cash check. Deal?" He turned to the crowd, arms spread wide like a ringmaster. The crowd chuckled. Phones went up to record the embarrassment. Someone whispered, "If he opens it, the guy will just say it was a prank." In the center of the hall, behind thick stanchions, sat the massive black steel vault. It had strange engravings of an eagle, a gear, and cryptic industrial symbols. It wasn't just a box, it was a mystery. Since it was dug up, the government had declared it must be opened scientifically, not blown apart with dynamite. Whatever was inside was a piece of American history. But the vault had no keyhole, no digital pad, no dial, just cold black metal and raised rivets. Top locksmiths had tried. Ultrasound failed to map the inside. Drills overheated and snapped on the alloy surface. It was designed by a genius who wanted to keep the future out. The American expert had spent 4 hours today using vibration sensors and robotic arms. He gave up, grabbing the mic to say the internal mechanism is seized. "It's a solid block of steel now." That's when Leo stepped up. Leo didn't work for the museum. He wasn't a prodigy from MIT. He was just Mike the janitor's son. When the museum closed and the lights dimmed, Leo would wander the archives while his dad mopped. He didn't look at the displays like a tourist. He looked at them like an engineer. He studied the hinges, the counterweights, the tension. There was a secret about Leo. His great-grandfather wasn't rich, but he was a master machinist in the 1920s. A legend in the underground world of intricate clockwork. Leo grew up hearing stories from his grandpa. "We didn't just build machines, we built puzzles. We built locks that listened. Those stories faded when his grandpa passed. But one night in the dusty basement storage of the museum, a place where they threw broken chairs and old crates, Leo found something. He was helping his dad move boxes when a rotting wooden trunk broke open. Inside were leather-bound journals, covered in dust, smelling of old paper. Leo had taken one. It was filled with sketches, blueprints of gears, tumblers, and gravity locks. And there, on page 42, was a sketch that looked exactly like the symbol on the Iron Titan upstairs. His heart had raced. The journal read, "The Silent Guardian. Opens not by force but by memory. A lock that breathes." Leo wasn't a scholar, but he understood machines. He realized the vault wasn't broken. It was waiting. It relied on haptic feedback, vibrations, and specific pressure points, not a key. For weeks, while his dad cleaned, Leo practiced the motion in the air. He memorized the sequence from the dusty book. Today, when the expert said impossible, Leo felt insulted. Not for himself, but for the craftsman who built it. Leo walked up to the safe. His dad, Mike, rushed from the back, terrified. "Leo, what are you doing? Get down from there. You're gonna get us fired." "It's okay, Dad," Leo said softly. Leo didn't ask for tools. No stethoscope, no laser. The crowd waited for him to pull a magic trick. Instead, he simply placed his palms flat against the cold metal. He closed his eyes. He felt for the slightly raised rivet on the top right corner, imperceptible to the naked eye, but obvious if you knew the blueprint. He tapped it. Tap, tap, pause. A faint resonance hummed through the metal. Then he pressed two different spots on the face of the vault simultaneously. He applied pressure, not hard but steady. He was visualizing the tumblers inside, the gravity wedges falling into place, top plate, side latch, counterweight. The media grew bored. "He's just touching it," a reporter sighed. "Cut the feed." But the expert, the arrogant tech expert, his smile faded. He leaned in. He noticed the boy wasn't pushing randomly. He was following a geometric pattern. Leo took a deep breath. He placed his hand on the center emblem and slid it upward into the left in a precise arc. Click. It was soft, but in the silent hall, it sounded like a gunshot. Then came a heavy, grinding sound. The sound of century-old gears engaging. The massive steel door popped open just an inch. The entire room gasped. It was a collective intake of breath. The silence broke instantly. "No way!" someone screamed. "It opened!" The kid opened it. Cameras flashed blindingly fast. The tech expert turned pale, his jaw practically hitting the floor. He ran to the safe, inspecting the hinges, checking for trickery. He looked inside. There were no gold bars, no diamonds, no stacks of cash. Inside were stacks of preserved blueprints, patent documents, and a small sealed cylinder containing the original prototype designs for an engine that changed history. For the historians, this was worth more than millions. It was the lost legacy of American industrial innovation. "We were looking for gold," the head curator wept, holding a document, "but we found the truth." The tech expert, the man who had opened vaults in Switzerland and London, stared at Leo. "That is physically impossible." There was no keypad. "How did you do it?" Leo shrugged, wiping his hands on his hoodie. "It doesn't open with a machine, sir. It opens with a memory. My great-grandfather wrote the manual on these. He said modern men forget to listen to the metal. I just listened." The next day, Leo was everywhere. National TV. The headline read, "The Janitor's Son Cracks the Unbreakable Code." But right there in the hall, the tech expert, shaking off his shock, pulled out a checkbook. He didn't use the mic this time. He wrote the zeros. $100,000. He handed it to Leo with a trembling hand. "I made a bet," the man said, humbled. "I'm a man of my word. Sometimes the oldest technology outsmarts the newest." Leo's dad, Mike, stood there with tears in his eyes. He wasn't crying about the money. He was crying because the boy who the world looked right through, the invisible janitor's kid, was now the most visible person in the room. Leo didn't have a degree. He didn't have a rich father, but he had a legacy. He had curiosity, and he had the guts to raise his hand when everyone else had given up. Talent doesn't care about your zip code. It doesn't care about your clothes. It just waits for an opportunity. And sometimes you have to create that opportunity yourself.